Today, I am very excited to introduce you to Alexa Kalam uh, from the University of Birmingham. Alexa is the regional manager and will be introduces us to the university. So Alexa is here to tell us more about what makes University of Birmingham such an attractive university for you. Alexa, you now have 15 minutes to share with us why the University of Birmingham is such a great choice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, hello everyone, and good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are.
So you mentioned something really interesting. It's about the Russell Group universities. There are 24 Russell Group universities, 24 universities part of the Russell Group. What does it mean for an international student to attend to a Russell Group university?
So, generally speaking, the Russell Group universities tend to be known for their strength of research across a range of subject areas. Now, even our undergraduate students may get involved in research. So quite often, when they're doing their dissertation in their final year, they may well be using the same research labs as our postgraduate and PhD students. Many of our postgraduate students have also presented their findings at conferences alongside academic staff. So research can actually be very important to students as well, and of course it means that we're developing the subject as we're teaching it. So also Russell Group universities tend to have a lower staff to student ratio, so that means there's fewer students for each academic member of staff, and also very strong career prospects as well.
That makes a big difference. I mean, having the chance to be part of this exclusive group that will basically help you to be a better researcher, better professional, quality skills that you could get there. That's really important, and it's a great, unique selling point of the university. I have been in Birmingham, honestly, twice. What is like to live in Birmingham? Are you from Birmingham, right?
I am from Birmingham, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
where is just to explain our audience where is Birmingham located?
So it's in the centre of the UK. Makes it very, very convenient for travelling around. It's traditionally was an industrial city, so but not so much now. It's been redeveloped in the city centre. We have some really nice buildings in the city centre, of which one of those actually belongs to the University of Birmingham. So the former Bank Exchange building is now a University of Birmingham building. We use it to showcase our research. We do a little bit of teaching there, and we also host a number of events there as well. That's a really fantastic building. But within the city, there's plenty to do. There's lots of places to eat. It's very, very multicultural. You can find restaurants from all over the world. So we've got a number of Thai restaurants, really strong Indian restaurants. Even I think we even have an Ethiopian restaurant. So there's such a wide range available within the city. Plenty to do as well. So we've got museums, we've got a large library within the city centre. We also have sports facilities. So we've got Edgbaston Cricket Ground, which is obviously one of the top cricket grounds in the UK and hosts international cricket matches. We've got 3 football teams, but don't test how strong they are because football is not really my my area. But there's plenty for students to do. Whatever you're interested in, you'll find it in Birmingham.
Yeah. So the main cities in the UK are London, Manchester, and Birmingham. So Birmingham will be the third most important city. Am I right? Or will it be the second?
No, don't let Manchester tell you otherwise.
Okay, the second one then. Birmingham is very well located, as you say, just in the middle of the country. So it's gonna take up like 1 hour and a half to London, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that it's such an important city, and what is the employability options at Birmingham? Not only the support the university have, but what about in terms of connections with the industries? Because one of the most important things as a student, as an international student, you have is the option to work in the UK after they finish their studies.
Yeah, so we've got Careers Network, which is our main career service, and also within the different colleges, they also have their own careers placement services as well. So engineering are particularly strong for careers placements. The business school has a really strong careers department as well,
Mm.
as you'd expect for the business school. We have a number of really strong employers that the university is connected with. So Jaguar Land Rover, for example, in engineering, a number of pharmaceutical companies for the biosciences and the medical sciences departments. Within the business school, obviously some really sort of high level companies such as KPMG, for example. So there's lots of opportunity, and we also give students a great deal of support. We have some really fantastic online resources which are hosted by the Careers Network. They'll help you prepare your CV. They'll help you prepare for interview. There's also lots of different skills that you can learn through the Careers Network website. And then we also have face-to-face counselling. They will help you with mock interviews, take a look through any application letters you're doing for jobs. So there's lots of help and support available.
Mhm. One more question related to employability is in the UK, the average percentage of graduate employment is an 87%. What is the average employability rate for a graduate student at Birmingham?
I mean, it does very much vary by course. It's high though. It's always in the 90s. It depends also what you class as employability, because sometimes universities will say that their employability rates are high, but that doesn't state what level job you're in. So the vast majority of our students are in graduate level employment within 3 years of graduating, we would say. But if you look at different courses, they will have different rates of employability. So, for example, if you look at medicine and surgery, it's 100% because they all go into foundation training immediately afterwards. If you look at pharmacy, it's going to be similar. So yes, but they are very high levels. They're in the 90s. But also, as I said, that's graduate level jobs, not just employed.
That's a really good point. That is depending on the field of studies and the fields of employability. That's a really good point. Now, I have a question from Anto. He's asking about scholarships. This is a really interesting point. You mentioned at the beginning you have a variety of scholarships, which is great to have that. Anto is asking us if you have some sort of scholarship related to inline roller hockey or sport-related roller hockey scholarship.
That's very specific.
That's very specific.
Yeah, so we do have some sports scholarships. So if you're participating in sport at a high level, then it's definitely worth getting in contact with our sports department. And when I say high level, it's usually national or international level. Because we do have some really strong athletes at the university. We've actually in the last Olympics we won 3 medals actually amongst our staff and students. So we really do have athletes performing at very high levels. If you are performing at a really strong level, then we can definitely put you in contact with the sports department. Sports scholarships are usually tailored towards the participation in sport and continuation at the high level. So they are not necessarily money against tuition fees. They tend to be things like sports coaching advice, nutrition advice, access to facilities, maybe funds if you're traveling to compete.
So it's more about the support, the support you provide in terms of the sport field rather than financial support.
Yeah, so that there's some really strong support there. They can be really good packages.
Mhm.
They tend not to be money off against tuition fees. The tuition fee scholarships are a separate thing, and those are available on the university's website.
Okay.
We're still announcing those as well. So we've got some that have been announced already on the website, but we do tend to announce them all the way up probably until January. So if anyone's applying for next September, I would definitely suggest to them to keep checking the university's website if they're interested in scholarship.
Every
Also,
year, scholarship change, I believe.
yeah, they do. We review them every summer, and it tends to be against what the university's focus is on. So whether we're focusing on specific subjects, or whether we are encouraging recruitment from specific regions of the world, for example, or different groups of students. So they do change every year. We do have some that are appropriate for Latin America at the moment. So the 125th anniversary scholarship includes some Latin American countries, and those are automatic scholarships. What I would say about scholarships as well is please be organised. So if you're keen on a scholarship, remember that they will close. Any scholarships that are a decent scheme that offer a reasonable amount of money will close probably any time from April onwards. So you do need to be organised. If you're applying for Chevening, I believe that's open at the moment, but is probably closing in about 2 weeks. It usually closes at the beginning of November. So you do have to be very organised, and they're usually merit-based. So what the university tends to encourage is students that have performed well on their previous studies, and we're looking for really strong students, and that's what we tend to reward with a scholarship.
When you say strong students, can you clarify that is, I guess it's about high grades?
Yeah, usually.
Usually. So what is more important for Birmingham, having a good personal statement or having a good grade?
It's usually a combination, I would say. So if you are applying for something like business at undergraduate level, then I would say it's probably more important that you have good grades, because they don't necessarily put a lot of emphasis on the personal statement. However, when you get to postgraduate level, they do tend to read the personal statements in more detail. If you're applying for something like medicine at undergraduate level, then the personal statement is incredibly important. So it can depend on the program. But what I can say is the academic grades are very important. They tend to be the starting point for many of our programs. And if you're unsure whether your grades meet requirements, because it may well be that we don't necessarily have your country page on the website. We do have most of them, but not every country. Then please contact us in international recruitment. Pick a country that's, if your country's not on the website and you want to contact us, pick a country that's close to yours geographically and contact that team from the country page, because it will be the same team that looks after that country, and we'll be happy to advise.
At what extent is important the balance to have with grades and extracurricular experiences, and what sort of extracurricular experience are useful for Birmingham to populate the personal statement and obviously get experience?
Yeah, so it definitely depends on the program. So that's a very difficult one to answer across all levels and all programs. Obviously, for something like medicine, for the health courses, you need to have quite a lot of extracurricular experience. At undergraduate level, if you're applying for business, for example, you really don't need very much. You need strong grades. You need to tell the university why you're interested in studying business. If you have a little bit of extracurricular experience, then that's fine. You can write about that on your personal statement. And that's similar for a lot of the undergraduate programs. When it comes to the postgraduate programs, it's a bit of a mix. So some of them will require work experience. For example, if you're applying to the MBA, you must have at least 5 years work experience, including a large amount of supervisory or project management experience. However, if you're applying to something like MSc management, you don't need any work experience at all. You can come straight from an undergraduate degree. So It really does depend. And usually the university's website will tell you in the entry requirements whether it requires any work experience. There's a handful of programs that will require something like an additional essay for you to complete. But they are few and far between. They tend to be within something like English literature, for example, or liberal arts and natural sciences.
I want to change the topic now. Looking at the news from what is happening in the US with so many issues related to safety for students. Safety is a major concern for students and for families. I am a father. I sent my son to study abroad. My first question was how safe is going to be abroad at the university, especially for families and students from Latin America. That's a major concern. I guess the distance make this is such an important question. What measure does University of Birmingham take to ensure that safety and well-being of international students? And not only at Birmingham, but maybe you can give us your opinion about the UK.
So the university campus is situated in more of a suburban area of Birmingham. So it's quieter. It's not within the city centre. It's a self-contained campus. So it feels very safe and secure on campus, but also a lot quieter than you'd expect for a city centre, for example. You've seen the photos. It's very green. It's very peaceful. You can walk around with your mobile phone without any problems. It's very safe and secure to walk around. The accommodation is on campus. We have one accommodation village that's technically off campus. It's actually just across the road, and that's actually a gated one. So you need your university access card to get through the gate, first of all, and then the same as any of our accommodation blocks, you need your university access card to get into your accommodation block, and then obviously into your flat and into your room. So it's very safe and secure. We have security on campus 24 hours a day. The campus, it doesn't close because it's a residential campus. So there's always people around. We have 24-hour reception in the accommodation villages. But we also have really strong wellbeing teams as well to support students. So within accommodation, we will have accommodation officers to help. We have people to help you with your studies. We have people to advise. So if you have any kind of difficulties, whether it's financial budgeting, whether it's personal issues, there's plenty of support teams to help you out. One thing we would say is if you are experiencing any difficulties, make it known to the college team. There's some really good people in the college team that just want to help you. And as long as you let people know if you're having any difficulties, there'll be somebody there who can give you some advice and support. And of course, as a student, as part of your student visa, you get access to the National Health Service on the same basis as a resident in the UK as well. So you don't need separate health insurance when you come to the UK. You can use the same service as British residents on exactly the same basis. So there is no queuing system. You're taken as per need, so depending on what's wrong, and treated in exactly the same way. It's free at the point of access, and all you tend to pay for in the UK is prescriptions. So hopefully you'd never need that, but
Yeah,
I think it's nice for parents to know just in case.
yeah. Thank you for that note. And you mentioned accommodation, and with accommodation, there is always expenses. How expensive is living at Birmingham? And if you also can touch a little bit on the topic of accommodation, please.
So accommodation varies. If you go for the shared bathroom option, which they're rather nice facilities, so they tend to be refurbished every 5 years or so. And students will share 1 or 2 bathrooms. between 4 or 6 rooms. So as Paolo mentioned, I'm in Canada at the moment. Apparently that's very different to Canada. So I would imagine, and to quite a lot of countries around the world, students have one room. So they have their own room. They don't share, which I think is always a nice option to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
There's a shared kitchen at the end of the corridor. So going back to costs, if you have shared bathroom facilities, it can be £4,000 to £5,000 generally. That depends. The postgraduate is slightly higher because the contract is a little bit longer because you're doing your dissertation over the summer. And if you want ensuite, so if you want your own shower room within your room, then it's between 7,000 to possibly just under £8,000. Obviously, depending on which block you choose. You can find more expensive should you want to. There's plenty of options available. There's a lot of options in the private sector. I don't think they tend to be cheaper than the university, but you can, if you allow yourself enough time, you can take a look around and see what's available. As long as you're within commuting distance of the university, that's the main thing. So there's plenty of options. If you move out, if you're undergraduate and you move out in your second and third year and share a house, it can be cheaper, but it can also be a little bit more expensive. So it really depends on how many of you share a house. You have to look at the bills. So bills are extra, such as electricity, where they're included in university accommodation. So I would say if you're looking at renting privately, just make sure that you know all of the bills that are included or are not included, and check what's included within university accommodation. But yes, generally I would say between around £4,000 to £8,000, depending on the option that you go for, and that's for the full year.
And the city as such, is it expensive to live there?
No, it's a lot cheaper than London. It's pretty cost effective, I would say. So a lot cheaper than quite a few of the major cities around the world. We also have student discounts available. So we encourage students to join the student union when you first start at the university, and that your student union card can get you discounts in lots of different places around the city, and also around the suburb of Selly Oak in particular. Particularly places like restaurants, for example, hairdressers, lots and lots of different places. And also you can apply for things like a student rail card, which will get you big discounts off train travel as well.
Well, that's really interesting to know. So it's a very important city, and it's a very affordable city. It's very well located. Before we go, can you touch a little bit on the topic of tuition fees, please, just to remind our
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Paolo.
can you remind us again what is the average tuition fees for undergraduate and postgraduate, please?
Yeah, so undergraduate tuition fees tend to vary between about £23,000. So sorry, I don't have these in the different currencies available, because I think you're from different countries as well. So I'll talk in pounds. So between 23,000 to around £28,000 for tuition fees at undergraduate level. Postgraduate level can really vary. I would say between about 23 up to more like £32,000. It depends on which program you go for. But some of those more expensive programs may well have some scholarships available. So the business school programs are tending to be around £30,000 at the moment. But the business school does have a number of scholarships available. And so particularly for Latin America, I know that there are some schemes in Latin America that are scholarship schemes, but actually they are also mainly loan schemes. So the student needs to pay back the money. So for example, Col Futuro in Colombia. Now, if that's the case, if you're getting your funding from a scholarship scheme that you're actually paying part of that back, then we have a number of scholarships that you can combine with that kind of scheme at the university. So quite often you can't combine scholarships, but actually where you're getting funding through something like Col Futuro or in Mexico, FIDER and FUNED, then we do allow you to combine with that kind of funding. If you're unsure, again, you can ask us. We'd be happy to advise.
Thank you so much, Alexa. And just to conclude, in few words, why should I study at the University of Birmingham?
Um, I would say it's quality of education, and it's a fantastic campus to be at.
Thank you so much. And if we have any questions, where we can contact you, you put your details on the chat, please.
Yes, I will do. Also, just to mention as well, I think you said there's some students here today from Colombia
Yeah, we have students from Colombia and from Ecuador, mainly.
and Mexico. So I will be in Mexico and Colombia and Peru, if anyone happens to be from Peru. So I will be in Mexico City, Leon, Bogota, and Lima next month. So if you wanted to meet up with me, drop me a line and I can let you know when I'm going to be in those places as well.
Thank you so much.
I've just typed my apologies for my cameras at the bottom of my screen, so it looks a bit weird when I type.
That's okay. So I was asking about the scholarships for undergraduate level. Can you remind us what are those scholarships for Colombian as an undergraduate?
So we don't have specific country scholarships at undergraduate level for Latin America. And that tends to be because when students are studying at undergraduate level, you're probably comparing the cost with something like if you go and study in the United States, for example, they do have big scholarships, but they also have much higher fees to begin with, and they are 4-year programs. So British universities don't tend to have big scholarships at undergraduate level, but of course, bear in mind you can work part-time while you're studying in the UK, and also it's a 3-year degree, so you're only paying for 3 years of fees, and the fees will probably be a lot lower or a lot more reasonable than if you're studying somewhere like the United States, for example, where they can be quite high.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Alexa, for staying with us until this time, and I hope it's not the last time we meet. I feel like there is another question. You mentioned it's about
Yeah, sorry, I've got the chat up there. So yeah, the £23,000. So if that's for undergraduate, then it's per year. If it's postgraduate, then the fee is usually for the course, because the course is only 1 year, master's level. So actually, we do get a lot of Latin American students come to the UK for master's study, and that's because it's 1 year, so it's actually quite cost effective.
all right. Well, thank you for that clarification. And thank you everyone for staying with us. Thank you so much, Alexa. I hope to meet you again for another session, hopefully around January for postgraduate students. And I hope to meet you at some point in Birmingham. And just to remind you, everyone, I will see you next Monday with the University of Cardiff and the University of Aberystwyth in our last session of Open Talk Universities. We have one more question, ready? Wow. To become an aerospace engineer, it will take 3 years?
Yeah, so aerospace engineering for us is an undergraduate degree, and that's a 3-year degree. So the bachelor's is 3 years. You can do what we call an integrated master's. So you do bachelor's and master's all in one go, and that's a 4-year program. But we also have a postgraduate master's program in space engineering, and that's a 1-year master's program. You will need, obviously, a related subject at undergraduate level if you plan to come on to the master's.
Thank you so much. Oh, another question. How many years does the medical career last?
So the medical program, medicine and surgery, is a 5-year program. That program, I would say it's complicated to apply for. So you need to start very early doing your research. So if you are planning to apply to undergraduate medicine in the UK, I would say you need to be looking and talking to universities at least 2 years before you're planning to make your application, just because there's a lot that you need to do. But it's a very good program. It is 5 years undergraduate, and then you are qualified, and then you do 2 years training, and you normally do that training in the UK. We expect students to do the training in the UK.
How many spaces do you have for international students at your international medical school?
For medicine, it's 28 places, which is one of the largest number of
Wow.
places.
Yeah. Okay. Another question here. I hope you don't mind, Alexa. What are the tuition fees for physics and astronomy degrees, and how
So
long does it take?
yeah, so physics and astrophysics degrees, they're 3 years full time. I believe you can do an integrated master's option, or you can also do something like a study abroad year or a year in industry. Generally, though, they are 3 years full time. The tuition fee, without looking that up, I think that's going to be about £28,000. So it's because it's laboratory based. Anything that's laboratory based attracts the laboratory based tuition fee. And aerospace engineering, again, tuition fee is going to be similar to physics, because again, it's using laboratories.
All right. All right. Well, thanks for that clarification. And thank you, everyone. Once again, thank you, Alexa. And ooh, another question we have. Do you mind if we have another question?
Yeah, that's okay. So somebody asked me how long the psychology degree lasts. So generally, all degrees are 3 years full time in England and Wales. So you're talking to two Welsh universities next week. They're going to be similar. So generally, degrees are 3 years full time. So psychology is 3 years full time. If you do something in health sciences, so something that's professionally qualifying, such as physiotherapy for us is 4 years, pharmacy is 4 years, medicine and dentistry are 5 years. But otherwise, everything else will
Everything
take
else 3 years.
years in England and Wales. Yeah.
And postgraduates tend to be just 1 year.
Sorry?
And
Or,
postgraduate tend to be 1 year.
yeah, master's programs. Generally 1 year. Yeah.
All right. Well, okie dokie. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a lovely rest of the evening over there in Canada. And I'll see you again in some point. And for our audience, I will see you on Monday, at the same time. Take care.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. It's been nice to talk to you. And you're welcome to email me if you have any questions as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.